left hand because I keep the Sprite with my right hand, and nobody remembers.
Are you
Hold
doing
on.
that?
Yeah, I moved my mic now, just so I could lean into it. There we go.
Okay, we're live.
Yes.
Yes, so we're gonna give everybody a moment and let everybody know we are here.
We
Right
in these internet streets.
on. About to get grimy. No, we're not gonna get grimy.
I don't know. It depends on how much of this little great granddaddy I have.
We'll see.
You might get some. You might get some details out of me.
What am I drinking? I'm so whack right now. I'm drinking like sangria.
Sangria is delicious and summertime perfect now. As the weather gets warmer, I'm gonna need you to hit up that white wine sangria, because the white sangria is one of the few white wines matter. Is all I'm saying.
Listen, they do, and we don't mean like Moscato. Like get a nice,
Yeah.
get a little Pinot Grigio. You do it with some peaches. It's so good.
It's so delightful. He said very masculinely.
So delightful the sangria while he's drinking bourbon, though. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's a bourbon cocktail, though.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Hi, guys. Hi, Paul. How are you? Can you see everybody? All right. So, it's Chevy Malibu for Bossy Live, and we are here with episode 2, and I've got my good friend, Julian Long. Julian I don't know what to say about him, because he's literally everything. He's a writer, he's a photographer, he's an actor, he's hella funny. And I just really want everybody to meet him and know everything he's doing because...
Oh, no. Tell me it did not freeze. Okay, I got you.
You got me?
Yeah, it froze for a minute, like right when you were talking about me being dope. It was just like...
It was like, now he only...
Yeah, he ain't all that. The universe just telling me to chill the hell out.
Tell him a little bit about... So, listen, I was trying to think earlier when I met you. So I had to go look and realize that I met you right before I started the magazine.
Yes.
Yes. And then I was trying to figure out how. And I remember it was that...
Ray Rice was an asshole.
Yeah, I read a piece that you wrote somewhere else because we weren't friends on Facebook or anything.
No.
I actually read it and I feel like it was like on a Miami news site, and they had featured the article you wrote about Ray Rice.
Right.
Yes, and I read it, and it was maybe like a month or two before I started the magazine, and I was like, is it weird if I just find this guy and email him and ask him, hey,
not weird at all.
Love this, and could you write for me? Because this is so dope. And I swear I was sitting there like, what if he's like, who is this weirdo? And stalking me right now, finding something. But yes, that's how we met. Because
thank you. That was a crazy time period. I remember the day that I wrote that. I was literally like, I gotten out of the shower and I looked at a couple of comments. I've seen quite a few comments and they were just getting on my nerves. And I said, F it, I'm going to be late to work today. And I just decided to write that before work. And I was just like, let me get this off my chest. And then I got to work because I walked to work at the time. I got to work and people were like, oh my God, what's happening on your Facebook page? I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, you have so much, like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know what's going on. I had literally, like, I was like, I post pictures of duckies and baby giraffes. Ain't nothing going on. And then, like, I had, like, 4,000 comments, and then my DMs were crazy, like, CNN and a bunch of places had hit me up to, like, follow up on this story, and I had no idea what was going on. And then, when it got picked up by the Post and a few other news outlets. And so I was like, that was really the first time that I looked at Facebook as a platform that could make some change, because, I come from an advertising background. So Facebook has typically been a platform to exploit. We use it to make people buy bacon. And so I had always kind of dismissed it as that. And then once I saw the level of conversations really taking place and the investment that people had and how important it was to advocate for other people on the platform, I was like, oh, well, cool. Let's stop wasting time and let's use this as something a bit more important. And so that's how that started. And then I got to meet great people like you, which was cool.
You know,
like a whole other.
It's so weird because I'm thinking, I thought, you know, that he must have been doing this all this time, and I'm like just catching up to this guy, right? Like I'm figuring, oh, everyone must know him. I'm thinking to myself, this must be someone that everyone knows, that I'm gonna send him this email. He's gonna be like, ma'am, I write for the Pope. I don't.
Madam, please. No, I don't have time to be that kind of arrogant. And I mean, I have a certain brand of arrogance, but that ain't it. And really, it was humbling more than anything. Like I just to realize that I could be that kind of vocal. But increasingly, what being a part of this sort of, there's an activism community and there's a quasi-activism community, you know, mm-hmm. and being in between those two worlds can be exhausting. Like the conversations are not always rooted in a desire to change things so much as they are a desire to complain and to, you know, and to voice, you know, to voice disgust, but not actually with the intent of working toward a solution. And so that was a really sharp learning curve pretty quickly. You know, for a while I was like, oh my gosh, like the whole world opened up, and I was really humbled and grateful to be a part of that world. And then I realized that it's a very multifaceted world. Social media activism, which I know is one of the things we're supposed to talk about, so we may as well just jump right into it. Social media activism is a really treacherous playground. And I say it that way because there's a lot of people who aren't about it in terms of doing anything. They're about there's a camaraderie. There's a community. There's a very, you know, it's necessary to have those kind of spaces where we can say, man, this shit is really bothering me. That's important. But then we begin to fight about our identities, and we begin to fight about who's a part of what community and what community is allowed to have what grievance. And in the space of that kind of power struggle, we lose sight of the need to make a change. And that's what I'm currently wrestling with. Like, where do I want to be with this?
And I think that's something that I guess what maybe drew me to you is that I would see, of course, you know, you see people write their articles or their opinions on, you know, things going on in current events, but a lot of times it felt like this is the people writing from a point of, this is an issue that everyone's talking about it, so let me just throw my 2 cents in so someone will put eyes on it.
Right.
And but when I read what you wrote, when I read a lot of what you write, I can tell it's like, this is how you actually feel. This is not for the show. This isn't so that I'm, you know, saying exactly what the majority says, and that is what I felt was different. And why I'm always like, oh my God, I'm always telling somebody, you got to see what he just wrote, or sharing it to somebody, or reading it to somebody. So
thank you.
The difference in, I guess, people that are speaking on the hot topic to speak on it, and people that actually have something to say.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I wrestle with now in terms of how, if I'm going to write something now, if I'm going to speak on it, I do want to make sure that it's something that's actually helping, something that has some utility, or at the very least, something that's addressing a space that we're in such an echo chamber right now. There's so many writers. There's so many very, very qualified, far more qualified than I am, people who actually have their degrees in sociology, who are not doing the armchair sociology, people who have contributed a lot, who are writing really well thought out, well crafted pieces. And then there are humorists and columnists and opinion writers, everybody weighing in to the point that, you know, for example, with, you know, the horrible tragedy that just happened in Cleveland, and my God, we've got a new one now in California, a second one in California. I'm trying to remember where it is. It's not, I don't remember. I literally just heard about it on my evening walk, But we have all of these tragedies that are happening, and so many people are quick to rush in and add commentary. And sometimes it's just not worth writing about. It's not worth putting another voice in that echo chamber. We need some time. Now that we've expressed, then there needs to be time to reflect and act. And so in those ways, I think a lot of times this can be not helpful.
I do see that. I feel like a lot of times it's like, let me hurry up and get my answer out before everyone else. And they didn't have all the facts, and it's just really another opinion that doesn't really mean anything. And it's not to help anybody. It's just to make sure that my voice is heard on the situation. And I think that's where it gets like, okay, I don't really want to listen to you anymore. You really just, I feel like it's not coming from a place of, especially with this last tragedy, there was so much that I kind of got off social media for the day. I didn't want to read anything that anyone had to say. It was too much, too many opinions, not based in fact. It was just, it gets a bit much, I guess. It gets a lot.
Before we go further, what is the best link? Because I have people on my thread asking for a link, and I means I did a terrible job of social media in.
Okay.
Did I send them to the Bossy Media page? Yeah. Okay, I'm sending them there. Sorry about that.
It's fine.
You said this is casual, so like I'm going, F around and I'm looking up at the computer and stuff.
Yeah, this is just me and my friends, and we're just talking, and we're just inviting some people to watch us talk.
I love it. I love that as a format too. That is essentially the way that. So I have a podcast.
Mm-hmm. I love your.
Thank you. We are currently recording season 2. We like to try and drop multiple episodes at once, and then take things on in a timely manner. But there's been so much going on over the last few weeks that doing it that way has not really been possible. So we're kind of struggling. Like, does it make sense to talk about these things now and just get it out there, or do we want to continue with our pattern? But the format for the cold open is exactly that. Like, me and my boy Sean, for years, we've been friends for 10 years, and for years we would say, man, somebody should be recording us. Like, we would talk about stuff, and like we would say something and be like, man, that was just dope. You said something dope. Somebody should be recording everything that we're saying. And so finally we kept saying, we need to have a podcast. Oh, we need to have a podcast. And finally, last year he was like, okay, no, for real, we need to have a podcast. Like, why are we not doing this? We're really, really grown now. We should have did this. So we started, and the whole point of it is literally just our conversations. We try to keep it as unpodcast as possible, and as much like us kicking it on the phone as possible. And it's been a blast to record. What's interesting about it is a lot of people see me as sort of a bespectacled, respectable Negro. And
I mean, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like I just happen to wander in and hear your conversation.
Which means you might catch me saying some shit.
Episode, that I listened to. That's what it sounds like. First episode I listened to was the one where you guys talked about your exes.
Oh wow, that was actually our favorite episode, and it was the hardest one. It's we talk about that one still. It was the hardest one because
why is it so hard?
Well, so like both of us, the people that we mentioned, we're dealing with a lot. There's real love there and real pain there. That's my boy, so I know his history with some of the women that he mentioned. And when he started calling out the names, I was like, oh, you really gonna talk about that one? Because I'm at any moment was ready to, like, one of us gonna cry. Somebody gonna cry. But what was dope about it was we had come to a realization prior to recording that as men, and you hear this even amongst, so-called feminists, and I say, so-called feminists, including myself, right? Feminism for a lot of men continues to circle back to the value of women for men. So it's like, and you see that reflected in, that's somebody's daughter, that's somebody's sister, that's somebody's mama. No, that's just somebody. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just a person. And so when we were talking about, you know, the loves of our life, it was like, okay, well, why do we love them? And like when he first started talking, it was like, oh man, so she would like every time she would come over, she would make this da 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 da. And I was like, yeah, that's cool and all, but like, what if she didn't do anything like that for you? Why is she still a wonderful person? And that was kind of a harder conversation, because what that forces you to do is go back to why you first fell in love with somebody in the beginning. Like, what was that magic in them? What was that spark? And when that's a broken heart situation, you know, to dig up that real the grit of the love, that can be rough. But we loved that episode. We love it.
I did, and you know what? I don't think that's just a men thing, because when I was listening to you say, okay, what do you love about them besides what they do for you? I think that's for people, period.
You're right.
I think when I start to say that, because after I listened to you, I realized how hard it is to answer that question.
Yeah.
When you talk about why you love somebody, that it doesn't like, okay, regardless of what they do for me. Because we kind of, you know, especially once you've been in a relationship for a while, you think that's what I love, that you do this, that you treat me this way, that you provide this for me. And I was like, that's actually a really deep question. And that's something that I think that in relationships past and present, we need to ask ourselves more. Like, okay, what do I love about this person that is outside of me?
Yes, for sure.
And that was good. That's probably why I like that, because it made me ask a question that I don't normally ask, or made me think about something like that I don't normally think about.
We got into...
I don't know.
What'd you say?
I said it made me feel a little bit selfish, though, because I was like, I don't know. I had to think about it. I had to do some work.
But that's important, though. But yeah, like, and I think it's important to recognize, you know, where our selfishness lies. And I think, you know, when I was married, our best days, and my wife and I used to say this to each other all the time, and I mean, obviously my ex-wife now, and I still adore her, and she still adores me, because we adored each other outside of our relationship. And so when we stopped working, it wasn't a contentious end. It was heartbreaking, but it wasn't contentious, because I still adore, like, the ground that she walks on. I think she's one of the most phenomenal beings on the planet. And I cannot wait for her to truly emerge and come into her own. And you know, that's, you know, I'm still a huge fan of hers, and I tell her that all the time. And she's still a huge fan of mine, and tells me that all, you know, whenever we're in touch, she'll let me know that too. And it's a wonderful thing. But it's important to keep the relationship going. You know, when we were together, when we weren't happy with one another, we could still love each other enough to make it through that next day, because it was like, I love who you are in the world. And whether or not we're working right now, I'm still committed to you in this world. Like, I'm committed to the person that you are being, and wanting to see that person advance. And, you know, while it's not enough to sustain a relationship forever, obviously, but it definitely can get you through those difficult times when, you know, y'all just don't like each other today, because that happens.
That's actually I feel like that's the test of a relationship, is how you get through the time when you really don't like each other.
Right.
Because when it's good, it's easy, right? It's easy to treat the person with respect or affection, or, you know, when everybody's smiling, everything's good. But when it's bad, and you have to still realize this is still someone that I actually love and respect and care about their feelings, and being able to act on that, just the fact that I don't want to look at you right now, that's the part that you will know, is this real? Like, you know, is this someone that I actually love?
Exactly.
Who they are?
Exactly. There was a group of prophets and minstrels from the previous century. They go by the name New Edition, and they ask the question, "Can you stand the rain?" But that's real. Can you stand the rain? Because it's all good when it's sunny. As Eddie Murphy said in Vampire in Brooklyn, if every day is sunny day, what's a sunny day? You got to have the rain, and you got to know that you can make it through the rain.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've heard about this project. I gotta say, last episode though of the Cold Open, the Getting Out Our Dreams, I listened
Oh
to
wow, yeah.
it 3 times because I think I needed to hear it. But I want you to tell everybody a little bit about what that was like, because what you were going through when you did that episode.
Oh
It was good.
wow.
A lot of my friends and followers are entrepreneurs, so I really think they need to hear it.
Getting Out Our Dreams. So I had been laid off from a job in Los Angeles. I was remote working, and one of the last things that they asked me in the period prior to the layoff was if I would be willing to use my contacts to help build up their business, and then maybe they wouldn't have to do layoffs. And it occurred for me, actually, hell the fuck no. I would not be willing to do that. Because I have spent, I've had a very successful and quite lucrative career in marketing and advertising, but I have spent the better part of the last 20 years making other people's dreams come true, or building on someone else's dream. And what I had not done, when we're kids, we dream big, and those things are encouraged. But then as we become adults, as we move toward adulthood, we're constantly encouraged to find stability. And we're taught that dreams are unstable. And it's a tough argument to fight because we hear it from so many places, right? And so the trade-off that I made was I sold my dreams for a 6-figure salary. And I was like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. And when the salary's gone, and when the people whose dreams you've been helping to build, but you're not the architect of, decide that they no longer need you on that part, what are you left with? What happened to your blueprints, And so my boy Styles and I, we've talked to each other about our dreams and ambitions and hopes and aspirations for years, because we two sensitive millennial brothers, not really millennial as the gray hair will show you, but we're sensitive brothers of the 21st century. And so we talk about those kind of things, and we decided that it was important to really hold one another accountable to what we dream about. That's my man, 50 grand. He holds me accountable to the things that I do and the things that I say. And so what we decided was that we needed to hold one another accountable for what we're not doing, and to help one another by investing in each other's dreams and in encouraging each other's dreams. And I always, my role in this planet, the purpose that I have for walking this planet is to be an encourager. If I'm not doing that, then I am not ministering as a human being. And so part of that is to help my brothers and sisters and the people that I love and the people that I just meet to be encouraged in the things that they believe in. I think the greatest gift that you can give any person is the gift of believing in them. And I am so humbled and grateful and thankful for all the people who believe in me, even when I don't believe in myself, but who see it in me. Dreams are not meant to stay inside. They're meant to be pushed out. They are meant to be expressed. And it's just something that we have to encourage one another to do.
You're right. You're absolutely
and
right.
Scene.
Yeah. Julian, tell them where they can follow you and where they can listen and subscribe to the Cold Open.
Okay, so the Cold Open you can find on SoundCloud. You can find it on iTunes. Look for the one that's got the Black Rondell logo. Apparently some cats from California have one that's about cocktails. Don't subscribe to that one. Subscribe to ours. Also, you can find us on something called Stitcher. When season 2 launches, our new website will launch, so you can follow us at thecoldopen.org. And if you give a damn about people who take pictures with their iPhone that actually look pretty decent, you can find me on the Instagrams at... Okay, see, Terry Meredith just broke my whole flow right there. Ah!
She is the best.
You can find my crazy
I know
ass
what you
pictures
mean, Terry.
on the Instagrams at Julian Shot First. I am no more good. I'm done with life.
This is what she does all day.
All day.
Never read.
All day. One pillow. No sense.
No.
by herself.
Julian, thanks for hanging out with me.
Chevy, thanks for having me. I'm fitting to Morgan Freeman your life again tomorrow. We did.
Yeah, I gotta talk to you again very soon.
All right, be peace.
All right, bye-bye. Hey guys. So, Terry is funny. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed talking with me and Julian. He is a great guy. Follow him at Julian Shot First. His photos are dope. His writing is dope. He's a lot of fun. Right now, I have another special guest. Oh, there she is. My other special guest is relationship coach, Dani. Dani can get us together. She does. She gets us all the way together. Hey, Dani, how are you?
Hey, Booski, how are you?
I am fantastic. Fantastic. How are you today? You got your drink? Girl.
I'm 2 glasses in.
Oh,
all right.
Don't tell anybody.
But I'm classy. I'm classy. I needed this today because I'm barely lucid after filing my taxes. So y'all just keep me lifted up.
No, seriously, when you're an entrepreneur, it's not.
I'm still trying to figure out how Donald Trump has gone so many years without paying any of his taxes. I'm trying to figure it out.
Help me out.
I need to be a part of that program. If he doesn't do anything else as president, I need him to implement this program and help us all out.
You want him to sign you up?
I'll be the first one there. I will be the first one in line. Talk about, please help me help myself. How are you, Chevy?
Sonny has an answer of how he can do it. He's right. Yeah. You're right. Thanks,
That
Sonny.
privilege. But we're not here for that today. We're here for a whole nother reason.
We are. I'm so happy you're joining me tonight on Bossy Live. We're gonna have some girl talk, some guy talk, some relationship talk. I had a question. Now, this question came about from some conversations with my girlfriend. So when I reached out to you today, I was like, you know what? I know who to ask. Now,
I hope my name didn't come up.
Listen, I know you know how to get us together. That's why I'm asking. So,
am I the Edge Reaper? Is that my official title in the ministry?
Get your relationship together, get it all together. So I knew you would know.
Okay.
So here's the question. We were actually, this is all in the news today too. About infidelities in relationships.
The Carmelo Anthony thing with Lala.
Carmelo Anthony and Lala. But, and I don't mean just infidelities when I'm saying this, but there was a lot of talk of people talking about whether or not she could or should take it back. Now, my question for you is, there's a lot of people that go back to a relationship after some type of infidelity or betrayal, but it's never quite the same. And usually it seems like they probably should have ended it there. Because the love is still there, the trust isn't. So, what is the way, if there is one, to rebuild trust after a betrayal?
Okay, so let me sober it up a little bit. So this actually, let me class it up a little bit. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a professional. Don't judge me, all right? This is tax day. Don't judge me. When we talk about forgiveness, trust, rebuilding trust, right? That goes right in line with forgiveness. They work in tandem, meaning you can't have one without the other. So it's not how do I rebuild trust, it's how do I rebuild forgiveness, right? Because it's, first of all, I think people don't realize how much control they have in their relationship. So, and people think they get so mad at me because in that moment you want to blame your partner, whether you're with them or not, right? whether you're still in a relationship or not. So there are some people who need to work on rebuilding trust. And this is a relationship from 5-10 years ago, if we can be honest. But the real question is, how do I forgive? Not that person, but how do I really forgive myself? Because I guarantee you, when infidelity happens, when someone takes advantage of your trust, right? When they take advantage of the trust that you've extended to them, the question comes out, how did I let this happen to me? How could I allow myself to be in this situation? And the truth is, you have to forgive yourself and recognize that your ability to trust someone is by no way or means indicative of their ability to take advantage of it.
I think that's what we have the hardest part with. What we have the hardest time is feeling like I let this happen, or I trusted too much, or I should have been more vigilant. And I think that's the part that makes us the most angry, because we let our
even if it's, was I not smart enough? Was I not pretty enough? Did she have a bigger butt than me? Like, what did I do? Right? But then when we look for the rebuilding the trust, we're looking at it to come from the other person, and that's just not how it works. Right? You rebuild the trust through forgiveness with yourself, first and foremost, because you need to get into the driver's seat. You need to take ownership and control what you choose to control. Once you're back in the driver's seat, now we can have that conversation of, hey, Fee, hey, Bossy. Now we can have the conversation of, should I stay or should I go? But as long as you're giving the other person the control, as long as the repairing of the relationship the ball is still in their court, then we can't have that conversation from an honest place. Because even if you two do still get back together, later on, it's still going to keep coming up because you haven't taken ownership of where you stand. Does that make sense? Am I tipsy? Is it not coming off?
It does. So I'm hearing you. My question then is, what is that person's first step? What is that woman or that man's first step in, okay, I'm going to have to forgive myself. I'm going to have to, towards forgiveness to, be able to get over this, whether I decide to stay or go. What is it that they do? Because I know, that a lot of people will be like, okay, I want to move past this, but they may not know how. They may not know what direction do they go.
Okay. So I think that this is the thing. We aren't allowed to mourn anything but death, right? In our culture, our society. We aren't allowed to have a moment of sadness. It's almost like, get over it. So first of all, you need to mourn that relationship, because whether you stay or you go, that relationship will never be the same. It's like a piece of paper. Once you crumple it up, no matter how much you try to smooth it out, iron it out, get a real iron and try to iron it, it will never be the same size again because it's been compromised. So first of all, you got to mourn it. You got to mourn that you're not going to be the same. You got to mourn that person is not going to be the same. You have to mourn all those things. And then once you're done with the mourning process, now you need to sit down and you need to get in the driver's seat. And that is kind of one of the hardest things to do, because when you get into the driver's seat, it makes you ask yourself some real life questions, some hard questions. Do I want to be with this person? Is the love that I have for this person enough for me to truly, truly forgive them? And when I say forgive them, and not forgive him, and every time he don't take the trash out, the same way you was out here taking the trash out. If you were focused on forgive them to the point where it's no more. That's a question you have to ask yourself, and you have to be honest with yourself. And sometimes we enjoy believing the lie, and sometimes when infidelity happens, especially when that trust is broken, that lie is shattered. So now you gotta face reality. Like, this is where we are now.
So,
but I'm not gonna get too deep because I'm 2 glasses in.
No. It's good. No, it's all right. Got it. I'm going. I'm ready for this. So here's my question. Since you said the paper is crumbled and it's never going to be the same size, is it worth it to, if you say, okay, I want to forgive and I want to move on, is it really worth it to stay in a relationship? If it can't be the same, can it be better or no?
Believe it or not, it depends on how big of a piece of paper you need. Maybe you were operating on an 8x10 to stay with the paper analogy, right? But you guys, to be happy, you only need a 9x7, right? So if you can fully function with the 9x7 and you are okay as a person, even in your relationship, then roll, then go back. But it really comes down to what do you really need in your relationship. There are some people, after an infidelity, because that is their worst thing, that is the absolute worst thing that could happen to them. After an infidelity, they feel better. And the reason why they feel better is because it's like, okay, we got over it, it's done. And I know that, he or she is remorseful, it'll never happen again. And if this is the worst thing that can happen and I can still love this person and all I know is that is to love them, then I'm going to be okay.